Um, something that physical activity. I always look forward to our pantry days on the Saturday because I know I'm going to get all of my steps in before 9 o'clock. So it's good when you know you can count on those days that that's an easy thing. You don't even have to do anything else for that day if you didn't want to, and get those steps in. So I'm going to toss it over to Miss Evelyn, because she's one of our great supports with this, and let her introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Evelyn Donis and I work for Children's Mercy. I'm a research associate and I support different groups including the Waiting In team. And I don't know if you'll knew, but I'm not actually in Kansas City. I'm actually in Nevada, and I provide support from here, from all the way here. And I'm gonna see if maybe Katie can go next. She's one of our newer members. I don't know if she already came to one of the teams, but take it away.
Thanks, Evelyn. Yeah, I have been to a couple of the early child care meetings, or early childhood, my bad. But yeah, hi, I'm Katie. I work with Evelyn. So I work for Children's Mercy Hospital and I'm part of the Waiting In team and I support some of our societal sectors. I mostly work with schools, sports, and parks and rec and infrastructure. So something I did for physical activity though, I just got back from South Carolina for a conference and I got to go to Conagry, I hope I pronounced that right, National Park, and we hiked all around. So that was a lot of fun. I will go ahead and call on Tara.
Hey, Katie, real quick, are you in Kansas City? Evelyn surprised me. I didn't know Evelyn wasn't with us. So
yes, I am in Kansas City and I'm on the Kansas side. So
thanks.
Hi, I'm Tara Caldwell. I'm the Child Care Health Consultation Program Manager for the state of Missouri in Jefferson City. And gosh, our work intersects with this in so many ways, but our program primarily provides consultation and training for childcare providers, and then health promotions, presentations for children, the fun activities for children in childcare, several of which focus on nutrition, physical activity, and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Fit-tastic program. A lot of our promotions are focused on that. And for physical activity I've done lately, well, I did talk my husband to getting me a small treadmill, and I'm going to set up a standing desk for my work from home days, 2 days a week. So try to get some walking when I'm not in meetings. You don't see my head bobbing up and down. And then this weekend, I think we're going to go to a pumpkin patch with my daughter since it's supposed to be nice, one of the really big ones. So we'll no doubt be trekking some pumpkins through the field. So I'm excited for that. I will pass it to Erin. You're next on my screen.
Hi, I'm Erin Gaster. I'm with Unified Government with the Public Health Department in Child Care Licensing. I work with Lori. I would say that I'm fairly new at this, so this is my second meeting here. So the intersecting, I'm learning how that all is. But I mean, obviously with surveying and going into places, we're intersecting all the time there. So something active that I've done is I did a 9/11 memorial ruck that was put on by the recruiting Army agency in Wyandotte County, and we just did a ruck. The firemen came, and a lot of people wore their rucks and wore boots and things like that. I did not. I just walked it, and ran some of it. I will pass it on to Chris Nicholson.
Good morning. My name is Chris. I'm actually in Wichita. I work with Child Care Aware Kansas as the Early Care and Education Program Initiatives Manager, which means I just do a whole lot of things. But in regards to this work, I oversee our grant with Nemours, which includes in our Go Knapsack, our breastfeeding support, equity. I connect our child care health consultant network with the work that we're doing in early childhood wellness. We're looking at embarking on offering the PALS as our springboard opportunity through the Moores, which I know Missouri has been engaged in. So I work to try to connect what is going on in the Kansas City area and broaden that out throughout our state on the Kansas side. So as far as October activity, I'm just looking forward to not sweating when I take my morning walk. I will look forward to going out there when it's cooler. We're also taking a trip to upstate New York, so I'm looking forward to exploring trails in and walking in. I'm hoping the fall leaves and fall weather. So I will pass it over to Carol.
Good morning, everyone. Carol Ayers with the Family Conservancy. My job has intersected through training and coaching early education programs. I'm a strong proponent that children learn best when they're moving. So really excited to see the physical activity plan focusing on the connections from early childhood all the way through the schools and beyond in our parks and recs. I think that integrated model is exactly what we need to bring awareness to the great work that we're already doing and to provide the research to continue for us to know that that is the right thing to be doing, that we can learn the ABCs and we can learn how to write and we can learn how to be with one another in a physically active way. So I'm really grateful for that. So in August, my 14-year-old grandson got me started going to the community center so that I could take him to work out on the machinery. So because of that, I joined the community center, and they offer in Liberty, they offer a great Clay County old people discount. So that was great as well. So I've been attending all kinds of classes that I haven't done. I did jazzercise for about 10 years, and then I did nothing for 5. Yeah, I'm reintroducing my body. So today I'm taking a break from actually my Hatha yoga class to join you here today. And I will pick Sandra.
Hello, I'm Sandy Reese. I am a dietitian for the WIC program in Johnson County in Kansas. I've been doing this for this job for ever, for almost 20 years. It'll be 20 years in April. WIC is a program that we provide supplemental foods for moms and babies, young babies and kids up to age 5. But to me, I mean, a big part of WIC is referring clients to other services that they might need to better their health, to better their socioeconomic status. But that's a big part of our job, or my job, is referral to what other people might, what our clients might need for their health. And so I feel like that's where I intersect. I also, I think all of us know that physical activity is important, and routine is important from a very, very young age. So learning those skills and things, that's something that should start really early, in my opinion. So I think we, all of the dietitians here, we talk to moms about that, and hopefully get them started and referred to the right places, as well as giving them healthy food to kind of fuel that. So the active things that I have been doing lately, my youngest twins are playing tournament baseball and decided they wanted to play football this season as well. So I have been sitting on the sidelines, but not sitting because it kind of makes me nervous just sitting. So I've been pacing. So that's been my activity because it's kept me pretty busy. But yeah, pacing and hoping they don't hurt themselves. And I always like going on, apple picking adventures, pumpkin picking adventures. My kids are getting older. My youngest, the twins are 13, but I still like to do that, and I'm going to drag them along as long as they'll let me. I am going to pass it to, I'm not sure who hasn't been, has Laura been?
Nope, I'll go. Sorry, I'm having camera issues, so I'm just listening in today. My name is Laura Miller. I'm the child care health consultant with Springfield Green County Health Department in Missouri. So Tara kind of gave the rundown for sure of what we do. And with specific with this type of group, I'm getting ready to teach the first PALS session next month. So we've been doing all that training and getting things ready for that. That's been a lot of fun. We actually practiced it at a team building event this week. We played one of the games and the adults loved it, so I'm sure the kids will too. And activities, I am in the middle of moving right now, so pretty much every day when I get home from work, I'm doing a lot of activity. And I have some busy kiddos I play football and volleyball, and we've got lots of ball games and running and coming and going. So been pretty active this month. Thanks.
I know that Kyle hasn't gotten a chance to introduce himself. Kyle, do you want to come on and?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Kyle Matchell. I'm a program manager with the Mid-America Regional Council's Early Learning Department. We work on a lot of quality improvement initiatives for the region with different childcare programs, but also we manage the Educare program on the Missouri side of the community. And coming up, we're getting ready to do just a little this weekend kayaking trip. So that'll be a fun kind of fall activity. So, and am I the last one? Is there anyone else that hasn't gone?
Litany and Roy haven't gone yet.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm gonna pick Roy.
Hello, everyone. Excited to be here. Sorry, my camera's off. I'm just finishing up some breakfast and I will turn it off. I don't want to be disrespectful and eating in your face. So, I'm the founder of a company called Healthy Hip Hop. And what we do is take the urban hip hop beat and then put a positive message over it for kids that's focused around education and health and wellness. And we use that to get kids up and active. So primarily in elementary classrooms, teachers will use us for like morning energizers. They'll use us for brain breaks. And all of our music is also really focused around social emotional learning, so SEL. And we know that hip hop is the voice that our youth speak, but a lot of the times that message is just not always healthy. So that's what we provide is like culturally relevant music and programming, but that is safe for our kids. And so some activities I've been doing is I've been active with my own kids. They're the ones who really inspired me to even start this venture. I'm originally from Kansas City. And so I've been doing my daughter's been in volleyball. So she just won the championship, matter of fact, in volleyball for her school. My son is in basketball. So I've been training with him, getting him ready. And me, myself, I still, been playing a little bit of basketball, even I'm older, but I still like to shoot the ball. So that's been my activity. I'm excited to be here and learn more and connect with you all. And I'll pass it to I think there's one person left. Was it Lidney?
Yes.
Yes, it's me. So I am a dietetic intern. Currently, I am working with the Children's Mercy Weighing In Center. And so I guess that's my connection. I'm learning and that's exciting. My physical activity, I'm a trapeze artist. So like I teach and train and perform mainly trapeze, but sometimes other apparatuses too. So very much like acrobatics and dance and things like that.
That is so cool. Did anybody else like drop their jaw? It's like, wow, that's so neat. Okay. Well, welcome everyone again. What we'd like to do next is share and discuss the special event that we had where we had Dr. Willie Wiley present on NAPSAC. So I just want to open the floor to anybody who would like to share on that. Maybe if somebody wants to even recap for some of those who were not here on what you felt was the highlights of the presentation that we had for that special event. So Chris, I hate to put you on the spot, but because you are so knowledgeable about NAPSAC, and I know that Tara, you are as well. Many of you are, but Chris, you want to get the ball rolling as kind of highlights you felt on the presentation, and then we can fill in the gaps, especially for those who were unable to. And I will point out that the recording of that presentation and the slides are available. So if you didn't get the opportunity, there's Evelyn, she's amazing and just dropped it in the chat. So if you did not get the opportunity to be on live with the presentation, please take the opportunity to look at that. But I'll give it to you, Chris. How you feel?
I'm sorry, I had to step away. I think the question was, how do I feel about the presentation that?
Yeah, just highlights.
Gosh, Lori, that was a while ago. I was, of course, very familiar with Go NAPSAC, but I think that it hopefully energized people and got folks that were not familiar with Go NAPSAC energized to engage in the work and to determine how we can connect more with it. I believe on the Missouri, well, I won't speak on the Missouri side. I've shared over on several meetings, and on the Kansas side, to be connected with Go NAPSAC, you need to be participating with our Child Care Health Consultant Network or our Links to Quality. But that is very simple to do. It's not a long-term project. It's just getting connected with a consultant, because on the Kansas side, we do require that you are connected with a consultant so you can be provided with TA, so that people can walk with you through setting your goals, going through the self-assessments, having somebody there that holds you accountable. And that was one thing that Eric had mentioned, that, and I've seen this because I've worked with the Go NAPSAC self-assessment for many years, is people will, I think it's probably true with anything, people get really gung-ho to do a self-assessment, maybe not as gung-ho to set goals, and then really not gung-ho to kind of complete those goals. So we really want to work in Kansas on the self-assessment, the goal setting, completing the goal, and continuing that process through it. So I think it was great information. Again, knowing a lot about Go NAPSAC, but it kind of added all that data, which people either go on the anecdotal, they know that it works, but some people got to have those numbers to kind of guarantee that it is a solid program. So Lori, was that kind of what you were wanting me to highlight?
Yeah, I think so. I love that you pointed out that for many years, anecdotally, you had seen those pieces, and then the data that he was able to provide, that when the TA piece is in there, that completion rate is much higher than when it's just introduced as the self-assessment or as self-assessment and goal setting. But when all three pieces were there, that success rate was there, and the data to back that up.
I know there was some conversation. Eric had mentioned that Go NAPSAC can produce reports, and we last year for Kansas, we had a statewide report, and then we had a breakdown of a report as far as the LGQ participation, and then our project Child Care Quality Initiatives at that time to kind of draw out those participants. I chatted kind of with Shelley that Go NAPSAC UNC could do a report like that specific to the counties in the Kansas City metro area. So looking at both the, again, those participants in Go Knapsack, but on both the Missouri side and the Kansas side to give you kind of a baseline, and then hopefully then, you know, strategically plan how you're going to implement or move forward or promote utilization of the tool, and then doing another report at the end. So though she was getting ready for the summit, but it was on her list. But after the summit, she was gonna, I think, connect with Eric to see how they can make that happen.
Does anybody else want to share any highlights or even something that you may have been surprised or on that presentation? Tara, would you, since you have this very similar experience with as with Chris, was there anything that you should like to add?
Yes, certainly. I don't know, and Lisa Lauer is, as you all know, is the Go Knapsack lead and expert in Missouri. And we also follow the consultant model, and, you know, several of those consultants are either, you know, involved with the CCHC program or are employed through our Child Care Aware or MU Extension. You know, honestly, I've been in my role with the CCHC program for less than a year, but looking back on this past year and the last few years with the pandemic, it's been really challenging for CCHC to move forward a lot with Go Knapsack because it is time consuming. And CCHC, you know, in Missouri, we do contract with our local public health agencies to provide the funding for the program. And it's our nurses, like our lead RNs and other staff at each agency, everybody's staffed a little different, that provides the services. So I think the last few years, I think, you know, Lisa has noted that we haven't really had a whole lot of new CCHCs become Go Knapsack consultants due to the demands of the pandemic on our public health staff, but that is something that we want to look at moving forward. We also felt that our PALS Train the Training sessions that we just completed, like you mentioned, back in June, we have all those trainings uploaded and approved in our registry, and everybody's starting to schedule and hold those, and it's really exciting. I know Laura kind of touched on this a little bit too, and that's really exciting moving forward, but we thought that might be a nice segue into more CCHC involvement with Go Knapsack, of course, depending on these next couple years look, because it does use, you know, the physical activity self-assessment within there. So it's kind of a nice segue into all of Go Knapsack. But anyways, that's just a little bit of my perspective. Some of my takeaways from the presentation, again, he honed in on, as we all know, he honed in on a few times on how, you know, how important it is to get all of the staff involved in all of these physical activity and nutrition measures, you know, not just the directors or owners, and how, you know, how that's directly correlated to child success, or the child actually mirroring those behaviors. I also thought it was interesting. I did pull up my notes, so I don't think I remembered all of this from our August meeting. He talked about how Go Knapsack discussed 35 of the 47 Caring for Our Children standards in this area. I thought that was really cool. And then I do also think one of, you know, how having a TA consultant helps the success rates. I also do think one of the barriers in Missouri for having success rates with this is that currently none of the Go Knapsack trainings count for clock hours for our providers in the state. So that's also a big challenge that Lisa and I are working through too. I also think that's a big barrier to helping, you know, the childcare providers incentives for their time spent. Their time is so valuable. So that was another takeaway I had. And then last takeaway was I was very excited to hear about the new modules for social emotional development and motor development. I'm really excited to see the content there with those new modules that he discussed.
Thanks, Tara. Anybody else? I'm going to put Erin on the spot because she was brand new to this last time and got to see the presentation, and probably being completely in the dark about a lot of it. So I'm just going to put her, even just one statement as to what she got.
I agree with Tara. when she talked about giving them clock hours for that. I think that will get them more involved if they see an incentive, and then they can see the benefits pay out once they learn about it.
I mean, as I've mentioned, that's we have, goodness, on a Thursday morning raining. Clock hours approved on the Kansas side, and it does always encourage folks, you know, especially if they can get free. It's free training, and the trainings are absolutely fabulous. So then we just were able to, and I know that, you know, regulations are different on the Missouri side, but we were able to, you know, just connect, making sure that we have technical assistance with the hours, because Kansas does not approve video trainings, and that's what they are. So they watch the videos through Go Knapsack, and then again, the consultant meets with them, and we have somewhat of a jumping off point as far as TA, and of course the conversation can go further, but at least it gives an idea for the consultant where they need to start with that. One thing I'm excited about also was mentioned on the call, and Rich was on the call also, and he now is going to be our Go Knapsack advisor, Go Knapsack partner for both Kansas and Missouri. So I think he'll be able to provide some of those links where we had two different advisors before, but since we are, you know, especially the Kansas City metro area, and I think it was very beneficial from when we had our last conversation with Rich for him to join that call, and he's very excited about the KCPA and then how that intersects with the Go Knapsack. So looking forward to that.
Sorry, I'm reading what Carol said. Anybody else want to have their input on the presentation? I only
Well,
threw
I'll
everybody.
jump in. I knew about this much about Knapsack before. Obviously we've heard a lot about it working in early childhood, and I'm just really impressed with the system of collecting the data and the data that they do have to help inform improving practice in the programs. So I see there's a lot of power there, and you know, I'd be curious on how we can connect more of our programs that we work with on the Missouri side, because it seems like there's a lot in Kansas. But, you know, again, I think those incentives such as getting clock hours would be very helpful, as well as having that support from a consultant.
All right, anybody last thoughts on the presentation? Is there anything, before we move off of the presentation piece, is there anything that you wish we would have heard more about, or we could have gotten more information of? I think that might be an important closing the loop, as far as what didn't we get the information we needed from. We don't know what we don't know. Okay, well, think about that. If something comes to you in the middle of the night, like that's when my best thinking happens, when I get woken up in the middle of the night. Write it down, send us an email, and we'll see if we can kind of close up some of those mysteries of the universe type things. All right. So the next thing really want to discuss, encourage you to encourage others, is the KCPA Plan Summit that is coming up 1 week from today. We hope that all of you are already registered for that. We hope that you get that out to any of your colleagues or people that you feel will be have benefit from that, which is really everyone, right? So get the word out on that summit. Any questions on that? There is the link. You guys are very familiar with finding those links for registering for that. And then finally, let's look at the implementation groups. So we do have the 3 implementation groups that we have. We kind of want to have a discussion around how could we make those more useful or utilize them in a better manner. Is that something that we really should just scrap and maybe they're not beneficial at all and it was just a pipe dream, pie in the sky, something we thought could work? Or do you see value in trying to move those forward and continue with that kind of idea that we had to be able to break down into those smaller groups and have some real work being done within our working group, our early childhood sector? The thought on those groups was to be able to, you join one that really speaks to you more than another one. So we do have, in case you're not familiar, we do have the, and Evelyn's going to help me out here because I don't even remember. There's the professional development one. There's the tracking hour. Yep, here she goes. Thanks, Katie. All right, so the policy and practices, professional development, and tracking our impact and resources. So those are the 3 implementation groups that we do currently have, and hoping that we can kind of move those forward and looking at how even those groups do intersect within one another. But so back, go ahead, Chris.
I'm sorry, but I think it's a great idea to have them. What I'm seeing is just like with everybody's schedules, we're not always able to join. And so the last time, I think when we were going to do the breakouts, very few people, I think I might have been the only one in the resource. So I wonder if we take each topic and just do it as a group and just rotate. So everybody has a conversation and we're not relying on talking to one other person in the group or setting up a separate, time for that specific group to meet. Or we, take whatever it's set up. But I think as a full group, because what do we have here today? 9 to 11, it's not a very full group to be able to discuss. So that's just, how people's lives are these days. There's meeting over meetings over meetings. So that's my thought.
So I could tell by Kyle being on camera that he wholly agrees with that. If we do that and do it as whole groups, do you guys imagine or envision that as this is October, we're going to focus on professional development next month? Be sure to be here because we're going to focus on the next thing. Or do you imagine it more as the first 15 minutes? Because to me, I'm like 15 minutes. Can you really get any momentum going? So, but I'll say it anyway. 15 minutes, this is our professional development time. 15 minutes, here's our policies, and then here's our tracking. So how do you imagine that looking in a meeting? Or maybe it's a combination.
I can chime in. I think like professional development could be a meeting. I don't know how much you need to get done in a certain amount of time. And I guess knowing the time frame when you want to have these strategies finalized might be helpful too. But we could do one, maybe just limit it to 1 or 2 in a meeting, so it give us more time for that discussion.
And I can see that being beneficial, especially because there's so much intersection between all of them. So I can speak to when Carol and I think that was all that was in that. Yeah, we're meeting and we'd be like, well, that would be something that we would want to bring in the other group. And so I can see that as being a piece.
I think we would really need to be focused because we do only meet monthly on action steps in between and who would be responsible for doing that. And I don't know if that's just the, weighing in staff or any of us that take part of it, but I think that, to me, that's always such an important part. You can have all the talking, but unless you start putting it on paper, what you're going to do next and what needs to be accomplished, then you're probably just going to come back and have that same conversation. Because we're also going to forget, like I did, what Go Knapsack conversation was. I'm like, yeah, we got to start all over because you got to remind folks.
Other thoughts on that? Is anybody in complete disagreement with that's the route that we need to go and say, no, we need to stay with individual teams and not do things as a whole? Okay. Evelyn, were you gonna say something?
Oh, I was just gonna say that I really like that idea, that maybe each meeting you all just take the topic and rotate, like maybe one meeting you talk about professional development. And I was also looking at the chat, and then Carlos was asking if has anyone synthesized what each group has done? Is there a document that will help with action steps from the group work so far? I don't know if we have a document. I'm gonna double check with Shelley, but maybe that's also something that we can start working on, to have more, I guess, concrete action items and things like that.
I think talking also together, because a lot of these, as I recall, I was on the resource, it could intersect with the other teams that we had built. So we might as well just get it all laid out there and get it all talked through. Instead of saying, oh, we need to take that back to this team and then have them discuss it and then come back to this one.
So I think what I'm hearing is we as a collective would like to see moving forward is keeping those implementation groups as topics, but not groups as individuals assigned to. And then those would be the talking points or the focuses of the monthly meetings, and always including like a recap from what we're doing in those other groups. So it may be where every third month that particular implementation group is the focus of the meeting, but there could be action steps every single month in between. So you wouldn't wait 3 months before you focus on that again. There's going to hopefully be momentum and movement and real tasks to be done between it being the focus of the meeting and us focusing in on it again. So there would be some type of traction between those every third month. Is that what other people kind of heard from that conversation? Am I making things up? Okay. All right. Well, I think that is great feedback, and we appreciate, and most of you that are here are the ones that are always here. So it's very valuable from everyone. All right. As far as implementation groups, there was also a note, policy and practices, and how it aligns with strategy 4, which is state and regional partners should adopt standards for early childhood education, ECE settings, to ensure that children are appropriately physically active. And I know when Carol and I in the professional development group were talking, we were really stressing that it's hard to have professional development until those standards are put in place. How do you teach, coach, mentor anybody on your expectations and best practices if we haven't defined those yet? So that may be somewhere we want to start and have maybe for our first focus on really trying to hash those out. I think it'll be very timely coming off of the physical activity summit as well to keep on that momentum with that one. Any other thoughts? So then professional development does align with strategy 5, which is state and regional partners should provide professional development to ensure effective implementation of physical activity standards and best practices. And then tracking our impact aligns with strategy number 6, which is state and regional partners should share and promote high priority best practices for physical activity in early childhood settings. And then I know that resources had been put with the other, but aligns with strategy number 7. Early childhood providers should include physical activity resources and opportunities within family engagement efforts at the regional or program levels. So, and once again, this is just my opinion. Well, not just my opinion, because we did discuss it in our group before. Most of that kind of comes back to identifying those policies and practices before you can move forward on some of those other things. There is are you going to drop the link to Evelyn to register for next month's meeting? I think that's what that next thing is. All right. So we discussed kind of maybe reformatting the way the meeting is done, but moving forward, what would you like to see as a member of the early childhood group? Is there anything that you feel that we're not covering? Or you'd like to see more? We are partially covering, but you want to see more of? Anybody? And we kind of discussed how you see us moving forward as a group.
Well, as kind of an outsider, I always appreciate coming to these. I have always enjoyed connecting with others because you can always gain, and especially when you're talking about, what's going on in Missouri. Now I have Lisa to connect with. I can talk with her about PALS, and, as you guys are moving forward with approving the professional development, maybe I can be some of the assistance on how we do it. I mean, totally understanding 2 different processes, but you never know if there can be an overlap. So for me, I just always enjoy the conversation. I never fail to come away with learning something and share a resource out to those programs that I work with.
I agree with what Chris said. I just like hearing about sometimes what is going on in our neighboring state, but then also just the sharing of resources and ideas and getting people excited. That's always my biggest takeaway. Like she said, I don't ever leave without having learned about a new organization or resource or idea to promote this within the program.
Is there anything that we need to do differently to make this a more meaningful group? The question says a meaningful group. I think we're meaningful, but is there anything that we could do to be more meaningful and for you to get more out of this, or so that you are empowered to give more? I don't know, just something to think. Maybe what do you feel our strengths are and where our weaknesses are? Do we have any strengths? We've got a very large collective of people. I think we could have more people. We've had more people involved. I'm curious as to why some of those have fallen off, but I don't know. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Lori, I think we're just coming out of such a difficult time where, programs have been focused on, and we talked about this in the professional development, even if we could launch a marketing campaign about the importance of physical activity to our emotional well-being. I think we need that spark again, with again, in the professional development field for early childhood programs, the incentives have to be rich enough for them to move forward. And that's even more true today than it was, a few years ago, pre-COVID, right? So those incentives, we also need groups who are doing quality improvement pilots and programs, and our healthcare folks and legislators. We need them to help us highlight this importance, right? Because we can offer all the training in the world, but if it doesn't tie to what you regulators are saying they have to have, then, those electives are just less appealing these days, right? When we were bringing people together in cohorts where they could hear from other programs about what their challenges and what their successes were, and we could give them a physical activity kit that was packaged up by Kaplan, and we could practice using that, and we had the energy, and then we could go out and train their staff, and that would be a repetitive layer up for the directors and leaders who attended. Then we had excitement, and even then it was hard to see movement on the knapsack in a short period of time. Some of those things take, to adapt a new policy, to develop parent education. So you had to be willing to take tiny little steps, right? But I think we need some sort of like spark to that. Physical activity is imperative to our adult and child well-being.
And the big question on that is, how do we do that?
Got to find some funding from somewhere. I think, that's the golden egg.
Any other thoughts on how to make this more meaningful? Or maybe it's because there is such a advantage of putting that mental health piece with it. Who do we need to get on board with that mental health aspect? And maybe that will help to move it forward, because I really do think you're right. Coming out of the pandemic, there has been more movement that you hear about self-care and about, mental health. So could we hitch our wagon, so to say, but where's the cart or the horse? What horse do we need to get our cart hooked to? All right, well, think about that. That may be a good thing to bring back when you figured out who's got that horse running in the race. We did want to talk a little bit about your thoughts on communication. So when we say that, we have kind of some different ways that Children's Mercy and our group does communicate. There's the Eventbrite for the registration. You get newsletters through MailChimp. And is everyone on here getting those newsletters? Erin, you may not be. We probably need to have Evelyn add your email address. What's the best way if they're not getting those, Evelyn, to get on that serve?
I'll drop a link, so if they would like to sign up, they can just do it in there.
So I know when we kind of switched to the Eventbrite, it was a little bit confusing. I don't know if anybody still have that confusion, or if it's gotten better now that you're kind of more familiar with it. It seems to me, and this is because I'm not the highest of technology, I guess, But every single month I'm going to go search for my Eventbrite invitation, because for some reason, even if I ask it to put it on my calendar, it does. I don't know what the deal is. So that, I'm sure, is my own technology ish. No, Carol says
I have-
no, it's not me.
I have trouble too.
Yeah, I agree. And then I think I register, but then they remind me to register. And typically that only happens if you're not already on the list. I'm like, I thought I registered. I thought I was there. That's what happened today. I was like, oh, I registered. And I was like, oh, I didn't get a link in my calendar. So I find it a confusing platform, but I'm kind of with Lori and Carol, I like things very simple. And that requires too many multiple steps for me.
Evelyn's hearing us. That's what I.
And I understand that, this is for a large group. So, you have to find one platform that generally works for everybody. But since Lori asked the question, we're going to give our responses.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear, and thank you for sharing. Yeah, because we have a long list of emails, that people at, I guess, one point were part of this group, and we keep sending it out, but we don't see any more engagement. So we're just like, maybe they're not getting it, or we don't know what's going on. So that's why we wanted to ask for your feedback.
But I will say I do get the MailChimp newsletters, and they are great. So I love so many. I love that it looks very simple, but it has all of the links, which makes it very robust. So I value being able to look at it and not be overwhelmed, and then I can go at my leisure into and get the further information. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I track my emails in there. If you have any like resources that you would like to share, or promote, that we can include in the newsletter. Usually the newsletter goes out after the meeting, a few days after, just kind of like a recap, and that's where we try to put those resources. So if you have anything, feel free to email me or Shelly, and we'll be sure to include those.
Just out of curiosity, because I do this for our other sectors as well, as send out the newsletters and Eventbrites, but the click rates and the opens, like, we track that. It's very discouraging. Just like from my perspective, the information we do include, is that helpful at all? Like, are there different resources you want us to be providing? Would you rather have us like, I know for schools, like, I try and really focus on our implementation group. So I try and post a lot about advocacy resources or professional development resources and that kind of information. What do you want to see us include in these newsletters? Like, that's just my question for you guys.
I like being able to see any types of events and things that other people do provide to you guys to put out there. It may not be something that I necessarily click on, but I know that it's there. And if I have somebody that I need to get that information to, I know I can go back and get to it. So that, once again, with that simplicity of, it kind of lists everything on the main page as to what it is, and then you can go into those links. I'll be honest, if it's not something that at that moment I feel I need to have more information on, I won't click and read absolutely everything, but I know it's there. So then I can forward that on to somebody else. And sometimes I'll forward something that I know this is information that they need, and I'll just give them the link as opposed to me actually seeing it.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, I'm the same with Lori. I mean, I'll pick, of course, there's a lot of Kansas City events, which I have a daughter that lives in Kansas City, so I send her some stuff, but I also share the newsletter with the consultants on my team because there's, the Fitastic information is broad. I always, preface it with some of these things are very Kansas City focused, and that's fine, but it also might get them thinking, is this something we can do in our community? Is this an event that can happen? So I do share it broadly throughout Kansas. And I always enjoy seeing them and have, and the Fitastic information's, always good for a program.
That's awesome to hear. I also thank you, Lori, about the events, because that was something I was struggling with, was like, do you want to see like what's going on in the area, or do you want it to be specifically like resource focused, like, information? So
I think
that
the
is
purpose is for the Kansas City metro area, so I think you need to continue like that. For those of us that live outside of it, just like with anything, you pick and choose what's relevant to you. I'm sure people can bypass that, or maybe they can make a trip to Kansas City if they want to be engaged in that activity.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Like the feedback is so helpful.
Okay, and if there's nothing else on communication, if you don't want to further communicate on your communication desires, then we'll move on. And it would be just next steps in scheduling the October meeting. So we should be 2, 3 October. Make sure I get, do you have the date right there, Evelyn or Katie? I was gonna look it up. Should be October 20. Go ahead.
28. Sorry, 27.
27th.
Yeah.
4th. Yeah. 27th. So same time ish on October 27th. So put it on your calendar, get it sent out to anybody else. That link, as you guys know, Katie or Evelyn will get that out, and we'll go through our little Eventbrite and get scheduled for it, and trade links on October 27th at 8:30.
Yeah, we'll maybe for next meeting we'll continue with Eventbrite, but we're gonna talk internally, I guess, on how we can make that easier.
Like I said, I try every month thinking it's got to be easy this month because I know what I'm doing, right?
I've heard similar opinions from some of my members on my group, so it's a consistent struggle.
How would you feel maybe about getting like a, because I know some people use Outlook and others use like Google Calendar, like if you were to receive like maybe like a calendar invite, would that be easier? Probably.
I love calendar invites. Reoccurring calendar invites are my friend.
Yeah, so maybe that's something that we can consider too.
All right, well, thank you everybody for coming today. I know we had a lot of discussion, got through a lot of things, and you're going to have 28 minutes of your day back to you. Use it wisely, go for a walk. So Chris, you said it's raining in Wichita?
Yes, we finally got rain. It seems like it's always been up in your neck of the woods. I'm like, yay, it's raining. And I think it's raining longer than they anticipated, but I'm okay. I can hold off on my walk until the rain passes. So I'm
just
good.
Do some puddle jumping.
And we have done that, yes.
All right, well, thank you everyone, and look for that registration for. Hope to see everybody next Thursday at the Physical Activity Plan Summit, and then keep moving our work. Keep moving, right? All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everyone.